the American people across this country need to hear their stories. The cable news networks and mainstream media keep talking about it's manufactured, and they're talking about the government shutdown and how people are suffering. Let these families tell you how people are suffering. We have a family here, the Corcorans from Tennessee, who lost their 22-year-old son not even a month ago, and they're here to stand with this president in his efforts to secure our borders and secure our nation. So right now, I want to bring up Congressman Louis Gohmert. We pulled this together at the last minute last week. I think it was Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning, and I worked for 2 days to try to get a member of Congress to get us this permit to have this here, and was getting the runaround. And I was texting and calling Congressman Louis Gohmert from Texas 1st Congressional District, not knowing he was on the floor of the House at the time, actually speaking about the border crisis. I'm not kidding. 3 minutes after he got off that House floor, he texted me right back and he said, "We're on it, we'll get it done." Within an hour and a half, we had the permit secured for this today. So thank you, Congressman, for doing that. We are so thrilled to be here with you and to have these angels, families' voices heard and their stories told, and without you, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you.
Yeah. Love you.
Amy, thank you. When you get to know these parents who have lost children, you get to know the children. And this isn't manufactured to you at that point. These are real people that were making a difference. They had life before them until someone illegally here brought their lives to an end. This is just a list, page after page, of people who are victims of this. Some say, well, there may be a lower crime rate among people that come in illegally. Well, if you look at who's in federal prison, the last I saw from the federal prisons was it's between 20 and 25% of the people in federal prison were illegally here. But it ought to just take one parent to say, I lost my child, and the America that I know and love will say, we got to do something. This has been a shining light on a hill for so many countries, but if it's going to remain that, we have to have secure borders. So let me just say also, we hear from people about separating children from their parents. Well, as a former felony judge, I can promise you every single day in America, all across America, parents are separated by their children, by Democrats, by Republicans, but as many Democrats as Republicans, because that's what happens when a parent commits a crime or breaks the law. Then we don't believe in punishing the children with the parents. So it happens every day, and I'm not talking about illegal immigration. So we have parents here who have lost their child. We have siblings. We have members of Congress here. And as I understand it, Amy, we're going to have family members speak first, and then any members of Congress. Well, all right. I was going to introduce Tom, and I wasn't sure he was here. Former director of ICE that does not need to be abolished. We count on them to save lives. They save illegal immigrants' lives. They save American lives. And he knows firsthand. Tom Holman, former director of ICE, would you come up and share with us? And then we will have family members of those who lost.
Yeah.
Louis Gohmert is a rock star when it comes to immigration enforcement. I appreciate all the work you're doing up here. When I was a couple weeks ago, they contacted me, asked if I had attended the event. As soon as I found out Louis Gohmert was going to be here, and the Angel family, so I got to know when I was vice director. No matter how many times you hear the tragic stories, it doesn't get any easier. We're here about a border wall. I'm not a politician. I'm not running for office. I'm a career law enforcement officer that I started about 6 months ago. I started my career in the Border Patrol. I spent years down on the border. There is no manufactured crisis. We need a border wall. I can say that because I've been on that front line. I've been an agent. I know what it's like. And President Trump went down there last week and talked to men and women on the front line. Before he even became president, he got their perspective. He listened to the people that do the job. Louis Gohmert's been down there many times. I've been down there many times. Has Nancy and Chuck went down the border and talked to Border Patrol agents? Have they went down to get their opinion that border walls needed or not? No. Look, this isn't about national security. This isn't about, to Democrats, this isn't about securing our border. This is about hate for Donald Trump. They supported border wall in the past, a border barrier. This is about not giving this president a win on the border. And what they fail to miss, if Trump wins on the border, if our president wins on the border, America wins on the border. Right. Less victims. Let's talk about victimization just for a second. You all have seen me. I was back a year and a half, and people hate on me. So he wants to arrest every illegal alien in the country. He's all about enforcement. But every speech I've ever given, it's all about saving lives. And we have victims behind me. In my time in the Border Patrol, I found many dead bodies on the trail left behind by the alien smugglers. I was in Phoenix, Arizona during Operation Ice Storm where aliens were murdered because they couldn't pay their smuggling fees. I stood in the back of a tractor trailer surrounded by 19 dead illegal aliens, including a 5-year-old little boy who died in the arms of his father, suffocated to death in the back of a tractor trailer. When you don't have border security and it's easy to cross between the port of entry, you don't do that without harming an alien smuggling organization, a criminal organization who doesn't care about these people. Look at the stat that the Doctors Without Borders came out with. 31% of all the females that come up to this border to enter the country illegally are sexually abused. That's 1 in 3. That's not an ICE number. That's not a President Trump number. That's a Doctors Without Borders number. So we got to fix this border. It's a national security crisis. Anybody doesn't see that, then you're not paying attention. As far as the big story when the administration talked about the terrorism that could come across that border, the big story was, well, a lot of them come through airports. Well, think for a minute. With all the security checkpoints and the watch list and all the databases that are run when someone tries to get a ticket in the United States, chances are you're going to get caught. When you apply for a visa to come to this country, you're also run through a visa security program. They check numerous intelligence databases, DOD databases, DHS databases. If there's any intelligence that you're going to do harm to this country, you won't get a visa. So if I'm a terrorist and I know how hard it is to get a ticket to come to this country on an airplane, if I know it's difficult to get a visa, how am I going to come to this country? I won't come to this country the way 12 million other people came to this country, between the port of entries. Has terrorists come across the southwest border? Known as suspected terrorists? Yes, I detained him as ICE director. The question isn't how many have been arrested by the Border Patrol. The question is how many did not get arrested by the Border Patrol. That's the question. It's a vulnerability. Anybody doesn't think the southwestern border is a vulnerability to terrorism, then again, you're not paying attention. I'll end with this. I've worked for 6 presidents in my career, and I respect every one of them, starting with Ronald Reagan. I respect the office of the presidency. But I also say this. There's no president in the last 6 presidents that's done more for border security, public safety, and people like the Angel families than President Trump. You're here.
So now I want to introduce Rose Tennant. She's going to introduce our Angel families, and they'll tell their stories. Rose, thank you.
Yeah, legally.
Never know what your grandparents did.
I do. I know where mine came from.
And that's what many of them have done. When the president said that this is a crisis of the heart and of the soul, he's absolutely right. Theirs is a cautionary tale, and you are going to hear from the bravest of brave. The very first person I'd like to introduce to you is Sabine Durden. Her son, Dominic, has become our son. Honestly, this woman is amazing. She's one of the first people to be so front and center and to share her story, which is not an easy story to tell. And her son Dominic has become, as I said, everyone's son. So Sabine, please.
Love you, Sabine. Thank you. Ooh, let me get mine. I had to have a few notes. Before I start, Amy Kramer,
Yes.
with Women for Trump, thank you for having us,
Amazing
for
job.
bringing us
Thank you
here.
for what you did.
The fiercest angel moms behind me, the fiercest Gold Star moms and patriots behind me. I'm so honored. I not only represent my son Dominic, also named German Chocolate because he was born in Germany. I'm German. And I'm one of the directors of AVIAC, Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crime. And I want to introduce you to my son. This was him at 29, prime of his life. This is him at 30, ashes. Imagine your child, your loved one. You have a picture one day and then you have his ashes. So now that you met him, and I take him everywhere, on July 11, 2012, my son took my fiance Anthony and I to the airport to go to Atlanta for a family reunion. And we get to the airport and I stumbled and I fell into my son's arms, and he was 6'4", he was a big guy. And he gave me the biggest hug, swirled me around, kissed me and said, "See you in a week, and I love you." And I said, "I love you," kissed him, and he walked to his truck and walked away. I didn't know at that time that that was the last time I would see him alive. Because the next time I saw him was in a morgue where I got to touch his dead, cold hands, bruised. And anyway, fast forward, I didn't know at first it was an illegal. I thought it was an accident, but I found out it was an illegal alien with 2 felonies, 2 DUIs, never paid any consequences. The judge made a deal with him because he promised him, told me if he would have known more, he would have changed the verdict, but he gave him the deal. He got 9 months and 5-year probation. The killer of my only child, and I'm a legal immigrant, so I didn't drag him here through fences and over borders and all that. We came here legally, the right way. The killer of my son served 35 days. Any one of us, any one of you would serve years if you had no license, no registration, no insurance, 2 felonies, armed robbery, grand theft, 2 DUIs, and you get busted. We wouldn't get that privilege, but he did. It took us 1.5 years to get him deported, and we have a good source that he's back. He never apologized. He just said, well, God gives life, God takes life. I was just on my way to work. Now I gotta live. I have no family left. My only child is in this urn. And when the president gave me a voice and gave my son a voice, and I gotta go to my notes, we do deserve and we need a wall, so you won't have to deal with this. We need secure borders, and it is a national emergency. This isn't manufactured. I didn't take any ashes from my fireplace and put them in here. This is my child. And I want people to understand, and CNN and MSNBC, reach out again. Let your viewers know what's going on. And it's not just about death. It's also about opioid crisis. It's about human tragedies. It's about child sex rings that smuggle these kids over. And a wall that will work for not just our side, but for their side, because a lot of people get all rattled up about these 2 children that died and are heartbroken for any child that dies. But while some people ran down there to the border to console these parents, ain't nobody worried about us, and they step in on American children in need while they run in there to worry about other kids. So let's keep it in America. If you don't believe my story, go to illegalaliencrimereport.com. You can read all kind of facts about crimes that will make your skin crawl. Go to ojjpac.org, which is a memorial, and it lists all the victims. I want everybody that's in politics and has a choice in making a difference and ending this shutdown and getting that wall, fence, whatever you want to call it, built so Americans are safe. They need to get together. It's a partisan issue. I want this wall built. It's not the Trump wall. It's America's wall. It's our wall.
It's an angel wall.
Yes, and I don't want one more Dominic. I don't want another Krisha. I don't want another Mark. I don't want another Gracie or any one of our kids. I don't want no more of that. I don't want to hear from any other family. So I'm dedicating my life to either when I join my son or when we have no more victims. And the challenge is for Schumer and Pelosi. I want to sit with you. Give me 2 minutes. I'll introduce you to my son, and we're going to have a chat, and let's see how you maybe change your mind. Maybe not. Maybe you have no heart in it. But let's see. I would appreciate the chance. I thank you, and God God bless you.
The next person we're going to introduce is a young lady who lost her brother not even a month ago from Knoxville, Tennessee. Very fresh to this young lady and her family, Avery Corcoran.
Today, I stand before you wearing black. I'm in mourning not only for the death of my 22-year-old brother, Pierce Kennedy Corcoran, but for the sorry state of affairs in which our country finds itself in today. Our government has been shut down for 25 days, beating all previous records. I cannot help but find myself thinking in numbers. 25 is an age my brother will never see. 14 is the amount of years the illegal alien who swerved into oncoming traffic, killing my brother, has spent living illegally in our country. This is my baby brother, Pierce. He is not manufactured, fabricated, or made up. My family loved him so much. All of the angel families you see here today are here to speak up. We have now become the voices for fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. We speak for those who can no longer speak for themselves. If my brother was here today, he would tell you that despite being from Tennessee, he loved the Texas Longhorns. He would tell you that he was a sports fanatic. Pierce was always humble, and he wouldn't tell you this, but he was a hard worker, working 40-plus hours a week on top of working towards a personal trainer certification and saving up for a house and a future. His girlfriend, Jade, was a part of that future, and he had bought her a ring. If Pierce was here today, he would also tell you that our parents instilled certain values in their 3 children. One of those values is personal responsibility. Francisco Eduardo Franco Cambrini did not exhibit personal responsibility on the night of December 29th when he crashed head-on into Pierce's car, nor did he exemplify it when he crossed our country's border 14 years ago. He was in our country illegally, driving a car without a license or insurance. Whereas most people would be receiving condolences at the loss of a loved one, my family has also had to deal with comments like the following. Anyone could have been driving the other car that killed Pierce. He could have just as easily been killed by an American citizen, and yet he wasn't. Those aren't just my facts, those are the facts. You don't have to like them, I certainly don't. While everyone else is content to live in hypotheticals or file their nails in indifference, my family is living in reality, dealing with those facts every day. Our nation is in crisis. We have received countless messages from families just like ours who have lost loved ones to car crashes, criminal homicides, and other violent crimes at the hands of undocumented people. Sadly, in most cases, time is not served. They are repeat offenders, or they slip away into the shadows, never apprehended by law enforcement or ICE. A crisis is defined as a time of intense difficulty, but it's also defined as a time when a difficult or important decision must be made. How can it be denied that we are in crisis? Here in America, we find ourselves at a crossroads where compromise is sorely needed from both sides. The clock is ticking, and the huddled masses within our own borders need and deserve answers. Abraham Lincoln once famously said, "A house divided cannot stand." We, the American people, need protection. On that point, we cannot compromise. I want to leave you with these words. My actions still matter. These are the words I found in a journal on the dash of my baby brother's crumpled, destroyed car, with pages riddled with shards of glass. My actions still matter. The members of Congress and our president, I want to say, your actions still matter. This is not an issue of race. This is an issue of right and wrong. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up two women because they're both from the same town and they shared their tragedy together. They're both Maureen's. Maureen Maloney will speak first, and then Maureen Lakea will come after her.
Hi, thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks, guys.
I'm an angel mom and I'm vice president of Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crimes. This is my son, Matthew. Let me tell you a little bit about Matthew. Matthew was everything a mother could have hoped for in a child. He was funny, he was smart, he was outgoing, he loved people. He had a smile that lit up a room when he walked in. And he had dreams. He had dreams of being a police officer. He had just graduated college. He had dreams of getting married and buying a home and having a family. And all that came to an end shortly after he graduated from college when he was riding home on his motorcycle. And Nicholas Guam, an illegal alien who'd been drinking all day long and had his 5-year-old son in his truck, ran through a stop sign and collided with Matthew on his motorcycle. This happened in a residential area, so it was a low impact collision, and Matthew flew off the motorcycle, landed on the truck, and rolled off, and he survived that initial collision. Then Nicholas Guam fled, and he dragged Matthew a quarter of a mile to his death. Nicholas Guam fled because he was in the country illegally. Nicholas Guam had a criminal record and should never have been here. He should never have been allowed to come into the country. He should not have been allowed to stay here. And after he came in contact with law enforcement, he should have been deported, and he wasn't. There were several points along the way that the course could have been changed and Matthew's life could have been saved. And that was 7 years ago. And I've been speaking out for 7 years. And it breaks my heart to see the Cochran family here. Their son should be alive, my Matthew should be alive, but after 7 years, and other families have been speaking out much longer, this should not still be happening. This is not a Republican or Democratic issue. This is a national crisis. These are about Americans. It doesn't matter what party they're affiliated with. All these deaths were preventable. Like it was said earlier, it doesn't matter whether illegal immigrants commit more crimes or less crimes. They shouldn't be committing any crimes because they shouldn't be here. I ask that MSNBC and CNN speak to the Angel families and let our stories be heard. I ask that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer meet with the families and hear our side of the stories. We need to come to a solution on this issue. We need to end the slaughter of the Americans. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maureen Lakea, and this is my brother Richard Grassi, who was killed 10 years ago this year by an illegal alien woman in a car accident that came here on a vacation visa and never left. It was in the same town. He was the first of 3 deaths in the town of Milford, Massachusetts, in a 2-year time frame at the hands of illegals. The state of Massachusetts thinks it's mini California, and they just ignore everything. But this is a crisis. I've been fighting and arguing and getting nowhere for 10 years. I feel such joy and such accomplishment to come this far with President Trump, that this needs to be done for the American people, not only for the loved ones that we lost, but for all Americans. The only thing that's changed in a 10-year time frame is the death toll. Like Maureen said, the Cochrans should not be here. We don't want this any longer. I'm personally am tired, and we as Americans should not have to even have this fight. Build the wall. Nancy Pelosi, you got a nice wall around your home. Build that wall for the safety and security of the American people.